some questions here regarding just some more questions. Let's see. Some were asked by our people in our group when we first started the group, and some are more like business related, I guess. So, well, first of all, yeah. So what kind of agreements do you have with players when you do these tours? Like, what do you set up? What are they expecting out of the games?
Well, that's so we do. So the D&D tour is like an 8-day tour. We will start. We have a nice big meet and greet in a tavern in some old. We find like the oldest tavern in the city, and we have the ceiling is like 6.5 feet tall, and it's just great. And so we meet at the tavern. I mean, that's classic.
Right.
And so we have a big meet and greet because previously we would have already made characters. We made characters online. We made them months before we even go. And so we even have each group already knows each other. So so you've decided who you wanted to have as your dungeon master, whether it's me or one of the other dungeon masters that are going along on the tour. Or if you don't have a preference, then we'll put you wherever we need to put you to fill up the table. And so we have our tables already made, the characters are already made, and we'll give little hints regarding like what the scenario is all about. And so like maybe you might need a cleric, like, and that sort of thing. But otherwise we really let people do kind of whatever character they really kind of want to make design wise. I mean, we usually stick to Player's Handbook and Xanathar, but but it's like, yeah, give us a good idea and we'll roll with it. Because again, all of my dungeon masters are performers, so they all do improv, and they pretty much can roll with anything. They're really great. And so we've set up the tables, we've met online, if not in person, and so then we pick them up at the airport, and we then head off to the tavern, or we put all their stuff at the hotel. We just do a big meet and greet at the tavern. And so of course some of my dungeon masters are musicians. I'm a juggler, they're musicians, they do other stuff. And so we have a big party. We have the quintessential tavern. Sometimes we have like really cool I guess you could call them cutscenes, I guess, where we'll do like a little live action stuff. We'll do a little costumey thing, and it's like, oh, what's going on here, And we even have the guy. So the guy who, I have to say, the guy who owns this castle, Peter Frost-Pennington, is one of the nicest guys that I know who owns a castle. He's one of the only people that I know who owns a castle, but he's one of the nicest guys that I know who owns a castle. And so he was this particular tour, of course, it just got canceled, but he was going to meet us. We were going to be in one town as we were headed towards Muncaster. We're going to stop for lunch. We're going to visit a cathedral as part of the scenario. And then we're stopping in Carlisle and stopping at the oldest pub in Carlisle, which is like 300 and something years old.
Yeah, of course.
And so we were going to all have lunch there. And then he was going to come in as Lord Pennington and kind of go, hello, are there any adventurers there here? I'm lord of a castle and I have a bit of a problem. And, because I just want that moment of like everyone sitting around just eating, and I'm an adventurer. Wait a minute,
Right.
Like,
You're talking
is this guy for real? And he actually is the lord of the castle. I mean, he's it's great.
That's funny.
His wife was actually the high sheriff of Cumbria for a little while, which means if they still beheaded people in England, she could actually chop your head off.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. Yeah.
But they don't do that anymore, so
yeah,
you're safe.
it's just figurehead.
Yeah.
Figurehead, basically, but yeah.
Yeah, so we had
cool.
all these things, involved in that whole thing. We're like, we're so that we didn't get to do it this year, but hopefully we'll be doing it next June. So
yeah, this thing isn't going to last forever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. So the next question is, yeah. So where's your revenue mostly come from? Twitch shows, DMing. Obviously, you do a lot of tours.
Yeah.
Like, what
Well,
is
I mean, so I'm not a
juggling?
full-time paid dungeon master, but that is actually surprisingly making more money for me each year.
Mm,
So, I'm still mostly a performer. I mean, it's all performance, right? I mean, being a
yeah.
dungeon master is a performance,
Yes.
but most of it's still juggling. That's my main thing. But the tours have when we could do them, they've done really well. And so the Twitch stream is a little bit. I'm not a huge Twitch. I'm not like that's not my focus. I know these
Mm,
people who can focus on Twitch and have all the things set up and do all the things the right way are making bank. I think I'm probably making about $30 a month on Twitch. So
wow. It's more than me.
but
I mean, I don't do any Twitch stuff,
right. I mean,
but
the thing is that if it's one of these things. If you focus on it and you do all the right things and you do all the things that are, you can monetize everything to the nth degree,
yeah.
you do fine. But yeah, that's not where my focus is. I just put it out there to get the show out, and the fact that I'm making any money on Twitch is actually a Christmas miracle. So,
Right.
you know, but I also do. So we do right now. I'm doing a live show. I mean, it is put on Twitch, but it's also just put on Facebook. And it's me and the other performers that I usually have for the tours who are, I'm running the game for them. And it's the crazy world that I run. And of course, the nice thing about it is that it kind of promotes the tours, it promotes everything else. But we also have a Patreon page, things like that. So that,
Mm,
and our game is set up that if you have donated to Patreon, you get to actually get involved in the game. So you can give people disadvantage or give them advantage, or you can just make them miss or give them a auto crit. And, you know, so
cool.
they love messing with us. I mean, mostly they love messing with me, honestly, because I'll come up with these great stories, these all the things, and then they're like, they'll have somebody's crossbow randomly go off and shoot a guy in the back, and he's dead. And that was the main bad guy, so I guess I'm just doing, but
So you got to come up with
so,
something on the spot.
right. So it's a lot of fun, though. It's great. It gets everybody involved. So we're actually making some money on Patreon, and we send out stuff every month.
That's cool.
We send them. So I have in my campaign, I have a god that's named Jawsus, and he's a big giant shark. Big surprise.
Mm,
And so we have one of the characters was a priest of Jawsus, and so he would make these hymns to Jawsus, and so we send those out every month, and we also the name of our show is Nat 21 Adventures, and of course because a natural 20 is fine, but what you really want is a Nat 21, and I made dice that go to 21, so
nice.
we replaced the 20 with a 21 because
That's
I'm also a gigantic Spinal Tap fan, so they go to 21, and
pretty funny.
just gives you that extra bonus, that extra +1 that's above
right.
everyone else, and
right.
yeah, so it's great because I mean I figure you roll a 20, right? You're already hitting, you're already critting, right? So it could say anything. It could be just a thumbs up. It could be a giant star, but it's a 21. So the Patreon people get that as well. And then they also get to, if they're at the highest level, they get to actually play a game online with me. And so they're also playing in the same world almost at the same time as the other players. And so they get to watch the players on the show do all these crazy things. And then they're right there adjacent. And actually we had one time where we actually meshed the two together. All of my Patreon players were in the potion shop when the players were setting up an ambush for the bad guys. And then the other guys were already there and they were like, hey, what's going on? And then it became this, of course, a fight in a potion shop. Not the best idea.
Yeah.
Explosions everywhere. Somebody got turned into a potted plant.
Sounds
it was
fun.
great. Yeah, it was
fun
hilarious.
storyline.
It was good times. So
Cool.